Another year has passed and another year of 4K releases, but also another year of disappointing releases. And that is the topic of today's video. Let's talk about the most disappointing 4K Blu-rays that came out in the year 2022. What is up, everybody? I am Mason from the Mockbuster YouTube channel. Yesterday, or day before yesterday, depending on when I get the chance to edit this or upload this, I'll let you know. I uploaded my worst 4Ks of the year, and I did state that there were more disappointing 4Ks than outright worse 4K Blu-rays. I narrowed it down to 5 that I was extremely excited for, that I was left feeling underwhelmed. I also want to preface that some of these 4K transfers were previously released from other years, like 2018, 2019, but the individual release came out in the year 2022, and that is why I am adding this. I'm not going to omit it just because the transfer itself came out earlier. The 4K Blu-ray that I picked up, that I went to Walmart or Best Buy in the new release section, I found this 4K in the new release section, and it came out this year. So you're going to be seeing a few 4Ks in this list that came out in like sets or something that got individual slipcover releases, and that is what I wanted to preface. Also, I watched all these on my 65-inch OLED C1, the LG OLED C1 model. So let's get it started with number 5. Number 5 is one of my highest viewed reviews, and that is Friday the 13th on 4K Blu-ray. Now, the reason why this is so low on the list is because there are actually some nice things about the 4K Blu-ray. There is some really good sharpness and some really good black levels. Unfortunately, the problem is when it comes to the white levels and the color contrast, a lot of it is really overblown, especially the white levels. Every single piece of white is overblown. There are scenes which look better in the Blu-ray than the 4K, and when that comes to that, you know that it is a very disappointing release, especially when it came to how good the Blu-ray releases came. When Scream Factory released that big chunk and box set, I decided to skip out on that because I thought the 4K will be the best way to watch these movies, and I was left disappointed. I was left proven wrong because the Blu-rays don't really have this added extra over-contrasted feeling that the new 4K release had, and I am left kicking myself because the Friday the 13th 4K is like what, $25, $26 for one movie, when I can spend $115 and get all of the movies, which is like what, 12, 13 movies. So that is why Friday the 13th, again, not the worst, but again, so much room for improvement, as well as the special features. This literally came with nothing. This came with special features that were available on the DVD over 20 years ago, and nothing new was added, nothing for, because the 40th anniversary was a couple years before. 2020 was the 40th anniversary. You'd think they'd be doing some kind of 40th anniversary special edition or anything like that, but no. And again, the transfer is lesser than the Blu-ray, so that is why it is on my top 5 most disappointing 4Ks of 2022. Alright, next is a Tom Clancy classic. I recently watched this on the Blu-ray and I loved the movie, so I decided to pick it up on 4K, and I was left disappointed. At number 4, it is Patriot Games. Now again, as I stated in the beginning, this did come out in a Tom Clancy, Jack Ryan 4K set, I believe a few years ago, but they were all getting initial individual slipcover releases, and because I don't really care much for the whole Jack Ryan, because I know Hunt for Red October is pretty good, and I recently watched Patriot Games and Clear and Present Danger, but now looking back, I kind of want to get the 4K set because I actually really enjoyed Clear and Present Danger. In fact, I liked it more than Patriot Games. But anyways, I picked this up on 4K for $25, and I was left a bit disappointed because at the end of the day, the word of the day today is smidgen, because this 4K is a smidge sharper, and it provides such a minute uptick in detail that honestly it's quite unnoticeable to the untrained eye. The reason why this made the list was because I actually have a Blu-ray Steelbook that I first watched the movie on, and that was less than $5. So when you're comparing that to a $25, $26 Blu-ray, So after taxes, probably 29, 30 bucks. Is it worth the 5 times? Is it 5 times better to invest in that 4K? And at the end of the day, no, not really. But again, it's not overtly like a bad transfer. It's just very dull and very boring. And honestly, it really doesn't feel like it's worth the upgrade if you already have a Blu-ray copy of it. I mean, maybe if you can find the entire Jack Ryan set for pretty cheap, maybe it's worth it at that point. But if you're getting the individual slips, which would cost maybe what, 3, 6, 9, 12, which would cost $120 for 4 movies, it really does not scream, get this now, get this 4K. But again, when it comes to this specific slipcover edition released for Patriot Games that came out in 2022, I'd say skip it altogether, because at the end of the day, the audio also is the exact same audio track from the 2008 Blu-ray. Like, come on, guys, did we do anything here? Which will not get any points from me. And also, again, special features. You know, this came out 30 years ago. I thought, oh, because the reason why I got it, the slipcover edition, was because it was the 30th anniversary, you know, 1992 to 2022. I was expecting a maybe I don't know, like a 30th anniversary special edition with added bonus features, a documentary, that kind of stuff. But again, literally the exact same special features, whether you can find them online or the same Blu-ray that came out 15 years ago. 15 years ago. Yikes, that was a disappointment. But not as much as this. This, at the number 3 spot, we have Children Should Not Play with Dead Things. Again, like Patriot Games, this transfer does little to impress most 4K enthusiasts. But the reason why this is higher up is because of how expensive this was. This ended up being 40 bucks after taxes for honestly a subpar 4K transfer that doesn't really gain any favor in my book. But again, the reason why it's not on the worst list is because I honestly understand the limitation of the filmmaking. You know, when it came to its source material, you know, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, this was filmed on an extremely shoestring budget with an amateur crew. But at the end of the day, it is still a disappointing 4K presentation. I was not expecting the majority of the scenes to be either really soft or like downright out of focus. This 4K does fault it when it comes to the amateur filmmaking techniques. You know, things like lighting was not taken into consideration when filming this movie. A lot of just dark scenes and you can't really see. And I was surprised. I'm like, why is it so dark? Why is it gray black levels? I can't see anything. I look at it and there's no HDR. This is an SDR transfer in the year 2022 for a $40 4K Blu-ray. This was just insane. And again, the lack of HDR is really quite prevalent, as a lot of things again look dead, obviously, but like people who are like this, the skin tones don't really look lively. Imperfections in skin, stuff like that, are not noticeable at all. This doesn't feel 4K. This feels like an okay Blu-ray, but not a $40 4K Blu-ray that you'd spend a lot of money on. You know, because the black crush is extremely overwhelming with this. And you know, when it comes to the audio, I do appreciate that they do have the original LPCM 2.0 soundtrack that they used for the theatrical releases. There's uneven dialogue levels, so there'd be scenes where I can clearly hear the person talking, but if they're running away, their back is turned, I can't hear a damn thing. So now I have to turn on the subtitles, and you know me, as a film purist and as a theatrical experience purist, I hate putting on subtitles, which is also another disappointment because they also really didn't do anything for the audio. So if there's no HDR, you don't really edit the audio, all you do is a 4K transfer, it doesn't really leave me you know, satisfied when it comes to a 4K presentation, especially because of how expensive this is. That's also why this is really high on the list, because it's extremely expensive. It's pretty expensive, at least for here in Canada, to get this. Again, $40, $42, not worth it at all. Skip it unless you're a huge, extremely enormous, huge, diehard fan of Children Who Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. You can get the standard Blu-ray that looks pretty good, the 2016 Blu-ray that still looks, you know, compared to this, still looks pretty good, and it's like, what, 10, 15 bucks? I say get that instead of getting this $40 4K. And then number 2, pains me to say this, because there is actually some positive reviews on this, and this also, it does come from another set, and that is the first Steven Spielberg Jurassic Park. Now, this is just based on my experience. You may have watched it and taken a lot more things, maybe because you're a bigger fan of the movie. I'm not the biggest fan of Jurassic Jurassic Park itself. I do like the movie, but it's not my favorite movie of all time, or, you know, it's not this big movie that I hold to such high regard. It's a good movie. It's a good blockbuster. But the 4K itself, honestly, it's a smidge sharper when it comes to those wide shots. The grain looks better. The film degradations are cleaned up. It's just, you know, when it comes, you know, but when you're comparing $2 to $30, is it that much of an upgrade? Not really. You know, you're not going to notice things in the close-ups. The clothing detail is honestly a tiny bit sharper. The main things obviously is going to be the grain management looks a lot better, and the wide shots look decent. But again, in the wide shots, there are often a few, like those helicopter shots, some of them are DVD quality. And again, you know, this is an early CGI film, so those shots with raptors and the different types of, like not on-set physical actual special effects, but the computer-generated effects, they really degrade the film, and it looks like terrible. It looks like a DVD. So that is why this is on number 2. Again, with the audio also, audio is the exact same. It didn't really blow me out of the water, especially for what I was expecting it to be. It just, overall, it's not the worst looking 4K Blu-ray, but it's definitely not a great looking 4K. It looks like a pretty good Blu-ray, but not a 4K Blu-ray. And then the last 4K Blu-ray on this list is possibly the best looking, but it is on number 1 because of how hyped everyone was. It kept getting delayed, and everyone was so excited for this, and that was Heat. Number 1 most disappointing 4K Blu-ray of the year is Heat on 4K Blu-ray. Image quality aside, when it comes to just the packing and presentation, this is possibly one of the worst looking slipcovers I personally have ever seen, especially here in Canada. Heat tension, really, heat tension, and they have these extremely low-res images of Robert De Niro, Val Kilmer, and Al Pacino. Same with the spine. The spine looks god-awful too. Heat tension. This just looks terrible, and the 4K presentation doesn't really add to it. Now, first, when I watched it on Amazon Prime, the 4K stream looked pretty good. But I had really high hopes for that uncompressed 4K, and it didn't really deliver, because while there is some pretty good sharpness and the image quality itself is really good, or is pretty good, the HDR is what really kills it, as well as the audio. So starting off with the HDR, there isn't really inky blacks. The black levels are quite gray, and it felt like they kind of just took the contrast bar and just increased it a lot and put down the brightness. I was laughing how dark it looked. Like when the Heat logo comes up, when subtitles are showing up, I had to turn off subtitles, because the subtitles compared to because I got my TV calibrated, when I compared the subtitles to the actual like image on the screen, it was blinding me because of how dark the image was and how bright the subtitles were. Also because the audio wasn't really edited to the point, because this audio is more catered towards the theatrical experience. So if you have like 15 speakers with really, really high grade subwoofers, you live in a detached house and all that stuff, good on you. It probably sounds decent, but for me, it was really much of a strain. I had to keep turning up the volume, turning down the volume, mainly because the dialogue is extremely quiet. I mentioned that iconic scene with Robert De Niro and Al Pacino when they meet up at the diner or at the cafe. People in the background, the clinking of cups, people ringing out, people walking by, the steps sounded louder than the dialogue. And when there's this really intense dialogue scene, and the fact that there's clanking of cups and all that stuff, folding papers, that kind of stuff, when that is louder than the dialogue, then you know you done fucked up. Now again, image quality again isn't the worst, but the HDR really, really holds this back, especially for how hyped everyone was. And again, this wasn't as expensive as compared to Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, but it's just the level of anticipation that we had for this 4K being delayed, waiting almost 3-4 years for this when it was first announced, and it just leaves you like, I've been blue-balled, I've been cucked. Yeah, so those were the top 5 most disappointing 4K Blu-rays of the year. Some hot takes here, I don't know, but let me know down below. What were some 4K Blu-rays that you were really excited to check out, and then you were just left dumbfounded and be like, God damn it, I should have just listened to a review or something and made my decision. But, you know, sometimes people have different opinions, right? Like, I've seen some 4K reviewing websites where I thought the 4K looked terrible, but then I look at the review and those people think that it looks pretty good. So it honestly depends on your setup, what you are expecting out of a 4K presentation. I have really high regards for 4K presentations because the first 4Ks I ever bought were 2001: A Space Odyssey, Spartacus, Blade Runner 2049. So when you expect that kind of level of 4K and then you compare that to like really mediocre 4K, it really you know, brings down that ranking, for at least for me. Also because I pay for this, I don't get free copies in the mail like some other people do, or some other reviewers on blogs and stuff like that. I have to pay my hard-earned money for this, and then when I get left disappointed, that's gonna, you know, that's gonna result in my review for my lower ranking. So anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I've been Mason from the Mockbuster YouTube channel. Please have yourself a good day, night, evening, afternoon, morning, whenever you're watching this. Please stay safe and God bless. Peace, cheers, and long physical media. See you guys.